Hello, and welcome to myfinanceteacher.org. In this video, let's have a look at our first valuation of a royalty company in gold and silver, which is Franco-Nevada, with the ticker FNV. Similar to gold miners, these are the factors that I consider in this valuation. Clearly, we should look at the prices of precious metals, and Franco-Nevada refers to those precious metals as gold equivalent ounces. So we're going to look at gold price. Instead of the reserves and resources, Franco-Nevada reports something called royalty ounces. That's basically the share, the proportion of those reserves and resources that Franco-Nevada expects to receive over the lifetime of the project. Unlike all-in sustaining costs for miners to produce those reserves out of the ground, companies that have royalties and streams might have to buy those ounces from the miners at a predetermined price, which is usually far below the market price. So we'll look at cash costs within this valuation. As usual, we're going to have a look at long-term debt of the company, discounted value over the average lifetime of all of the projects that this royalty company is involved in. We're going to look at the valuation per share, including a secret sauce of insider shares, which in this case is not very significant, only 0.75% according to Yahoo Finance. And besides Yahoo Finance, the sources that I get the data from are the 2020 asset book and the third quarter report. As usual, we're going to have a look at three scenarios for gold price. In the balance scenario, we're going to have a gold price of only $1,860, which is 2% below the ongoing spot price. In the conservative scenario, we're going to go down 10%, down to $1,674. And in the optimistic scenario, we're going to go up 10% from the balanced price, only to the price of $2,046. But if you agree with me that over the next, let's say, 2 to 3 years, gold price should probably average far above $2,000, then you possibly might want to adjust this valuation a little bit upwards. By the way, today is 2nd of January, and Happy New Year, everyone. I hope this year will treat you much better than the last. So let's move on. Looking at proven and probable reserves in the ground in gold equivalent ounces, Franco-Nevada has 9.75 million ounces. Actually, if you look at the company reports, you will notice that last time they reported these numbers, they showed 10.1 million ounces. But to lean on the cautious side, I've subtracted what they've sold so far this year, bringing us down to this 9.8 million ounces of proven and probable reserves left. Next, looking at measured and indicated resources, again in gold equivalent ounces, the company has nearly 5 million ounces, exclusive. Again, if you look at the company reports, the number is different because, as the company states, the reports show you the inclusive numbers, where measured and indicated resources include the proven and probable reserves. So the number you see in this video is a little bit different from what you can see in the report. Moving on to cash costs. We're going to use the cash costs of $290 in this valuation. That's the cash costs for third quarter this year. The costs for this year so far in the first 9 months of this year are slightly lower at $288. Besides looking at cash costs, there might be an argument here to throw in the tax expenses here as well to increase the cost of gold over here a little bit. And I might do that in my future videos when we look at royalty companies. Looking at long-term debt, it's nice that Franco-Nevada doesn't have any long-term debt or lease obligations, both according to the company reports and Yahoo Finance. And Yahoo Finance shows that the company has 190.6 million shares outstanding, with 0.75% in insiders' hands. We do look at the time value of money, and I use a discount rate of 5%, possibly a little bit high in this case, when the company has a very diversified investment into over 50 different projects. So there is also an argument here to look at lower discount rate. Again, we might do this when I pour through the quarterly and annual reports of other royalty companies to compare how they go against each other. Average mine life for a range of projects is just under 20 years, so let's call it 20 years. Which brings us to our first estimation, the conservative valuation. Based on all of the numbers we've mentioned so far, With a reminder that the gold price we plug in is $1,674, and we only look at the proven and probable part of the royalty ounces, without counting anything of the measured and indicated resources. That would bring valuation towards a very conservative estimate, and if the market price approaches this valuation, that possibly might indicate to you that the company is undervalued and it might be attractive. And before we move into the valuation, a short break.
Let me point out some of the highlights we've had at myfinancesteacher.org so far in October and November. Our Bitcoin gains have been amazing at over 58%. Our investments on oil producers has done and is doing very well, with the gains on different producers ranging anywhere between 30 and 40% just over the last several weeks. And also over the last several weeks, we've been doing relatively well on coffee and some other assets as well. So if you're interested in more frequent and detailed analysis on a range of assets, check us out at myfinancesteacher.org. An interesting product that we have at myfinancesteacher.org is the portfolio, where I track all of the trades that have ever happened, which provides great transparency on all of our gains as well as losses. I would guess that not many other analysts would track their performance with such transparency.
Welcome back to the conservative valuation, where we have a valuation of only under $45 per share, which doesn't really look nice versus the market price as it closed at the last day of 2020 at over $125 per share. Actually, there is an argument to make in defense of Franco-Nevada, but I'll leave that argument until the end of the video. Moving on to our balanced valuation, where we plug in the price of $1,860 and still only look at proven and probable royalty ounces, that gives you a valuation of nearly $51 per share, which again compares poorly versus the market price of over $125. And lastly, let's have a look at the optimistic valuation with a price of $2,046 per ounce. And within optimistic valuation, we'll look at proven and probable royalty ounces, as well as only half of measured and indicated royalty ounces. So again, even our optimistic valuation leans towards the conservative side, which doesn't even include half of measured and indicated resources, never mind a lot of other inferred resources and some other projects I will mention near the end of the video. So all of this gives you an optimistic valuation of under $65, which again compares pretty poorly versus the market price of over $125. So is Franco-Nevada wildly overvalued at the moment? Well, perhaps, although there are some arguments in defense of the company, which I put into the highlights over here. What we've looked at is more or less certain royalty ounces in the ground, and beyond that, the company actually participates in a range of dozens and dozens of development and exploration projects. If some percentage of these projects increases the royalty ounces of the company substantially, that will bring that valuation much higher as well. Beyond that, in addition to investing into precious metals, Franco-Nevada also invests into energy-related royalties. And for example, back in the third quarter of 2020, the energy-related royalties accounted for nearly 9% of the total revenue. So adding, say, about 10% to valuation might be appropriate, taking into account this energy side of the business. And lastly, Franco-Nevada pays a 0.8% annual dividend yield, which is not amazing, but compared to having less than this on your bank deposits, this might be something else that potential investors have to take into account as well. So in summary, personally and in the fictitious portfolio of the myfinancesteacher.org, I'm not holding any FNV shares at the moment. Whether it's a good decision or not, you let me know. I'm looking forward to read your opinion in the comments. For now, I wish you a wonderful, enjoyable weekend and good luck in your trades.